Hey everybody, happy Tuesday,
Hi, Happy New
January
Year.
5th. Happy New Year. The day before Epiphany, and I am Haley Gray, and I have my friend Victoria Bentley with me tonight. If you are on the live, give us a hashtag live. If you're on the replay, give us a hashtag replay. Let us know that you're out there. And we wanted to talk about, something tonight, which is going to be a little bit controversial.
They're going to say we're crazy.
They're going to say we're crazy, right? And the topic tonight is what is the best part for you of coronavirus? Because I hear a lot of people that are like, 2020 was a complete cluster. And there are aspects of 2020 that, yes, for me, were an absolute cluster. But there have been aspects of being locked down that actually kind of worked out pretty good for me.
Do tell.
Well, so y'all are going to kind of laugh, but my oldest is in the hospital and has been in a hospital. She's got some psychiatric issues, so it's a long-term hospitalization type situation. And it was the first time that I've had all three of my younger kids, younger being relative, 19, 17, and 13, at home for any period of time. So we didn't have any of the activities. Nobody was going anywhere. Nobody was doing anything, which, sounds like a recipe for disaster, but it was actually kind of nice because it was the first time that we've been able to have dinner around the dinner table in eons without it being like catch as catch can. Like, we've done it where we've had, like maybe half of the family or, maybe, it was a quickie, whatever. And we actually got to sit down and cook and enjoy meals together and spend time together. I'm pretty sure my kids are sick of me. But I kind of enjoyed it as a mom. And getting to spend that time with the three younger ones without the older one present was kind of a huge gift.
I think we've become too busy a world. I think that, Junior has soccer on Tuesday and ballet on Wednesday and flute on Thursday. And we've learned to live like this, where we're going all the time and we're distracted all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the focus on the family has not been there. The focus has been on being busy. It's been on activities. And
yeah,
having grown up several decades ago, I miss the simplicity of how life used to be and expectations. When you have a virus like this, expectations go out the window. You don't know what's tomorrow's going to bring.
no.
You don't know.
No, I mean, my kids' school was thrown out the window for all three of them, and we didn't know from one day to the next what it was going to look like, other than it was probably going to be virtual, but we didn't know how long or when or where or how.
The upside of this for me, like you said, is the dinner table thing, but the forced slowdown. There isn't any place we're hurrying to get to anymore.
No.
Closed. And there aren't too many parties. You're not going anywhere for cocktails like you are.
My little introverted family, which is most of my family is pretty introverted. And so my introverted family did pretty good with this.
I didn't ever think about that. I don't think of you as an introvert, but I guess you are. I guess you are, because you would know best. I'm not. And I need a social connection. I need to be with. One of the things that I've missed, we're talking about the upside. One of the things I've missed is a group of women friends that we meet and have lunch on a regular basis. We sit down and we have lunch. We talk business. We talk. We don't talk about family so much. We talk about the world. We talk about business. And I miss that connection of another person's point of view, somebody who sees it from their business or from what they're doing. And I was talking to a physician friend of mine, and we've been friends for, 45 years, I think it is now. And she said, I don't get it. She said, I'm an A positive blood type and I haven't gotten this virus. And she said, unless I got it and didn't know it. and she works about 100 hours a week, and she's
Mm-hmm.
70 years old, and she is the most remarkable woman I know. She's such an inspiration. Boundless energy. She's a real honey badger. Things don't bother her. Things just roll
Mm-hmm.
right off of her. And I think that part of that survival for her is that stress doesn't affect her the way it affects most people I know. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if people are heaping things on you,
Mm-hmm.
and she's very good about that, and
Mm-hmm.
talking about. So we talk virtually, but it's not the same thing. And
Yeah.
I really miss it. And one of us fell in the ice and broke her arm and had to have an open reduction done yesterday. And we're all, rallying the troops and delivering food. And I think, oh gosh, what I would give to sit down and all have lunch together. And that's just not happening just yet.
No.
We have a number of restaurants. I'm in Pennsylvania. And we have a number of restaurants who have defied the governor's order. Um, because at this point it looks more like control than it looks like virus, and people are just not happy with the way things are going, and he's putting people out of business, and they're saying, I can't risk it anymore. I'm losing too much money. I can't be closed through Christmas, whatever. I'll never open again. So they're taking the risks, and the fines are $300 a day. And because we have a state liquor system, the PLCB will not, Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board will not deliver liquor. And so you got to kind of do it another way. And
Mm-hmm.
you're developing a black market here. You're developing,
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of
Sounds
stuff.
like Prohibition all over again.
Yeah, it's like organized crime all over again. And a lot of people are trying to support those restaurants because they know people. This is their livelihood. If their kids
Yeah.
going to go to college next fall, we got to support the restaurants.
Yeah.
So, but I miss that. But the upside
Yeah.
has been the joy in the simple things, the joy in making Christmas ornaments, the joy in making Christmas cookies. And those are things that so often we just don't have time for, and
Right.
always something we're rushing off to. And I retired from my primary job
Woohoo.
23rd of December. And yesterday was really kind of my first day because we close our plant until the Monday after
Mm-hmm.
New Year's. And so this is like day 2 of retirement. And it's really a joy to cook. And what I was laughing, and I think I told you about this, we have 3 dogs and 2 cats. And our dogs are used to us going off to work, and they go to sleep, and then we come home, they're happy to see us. Well, we're here all the time, and so they're not in their usual routine, and they've learned the words nap time, and they head off to their crates, and they're just dying to go to sleep. Like, would you please stop bugging us? We need to go to sleep. Stop asking for our attention. It's really funny. But that's
They're
their,
like, would you just please go away? Yeah.
yeah, would you please just go to work and let us alone so that we can sleep and do what dogs do? It is funny.
Yeah.
So I'm just enjoying, and I made a commitment because it's not something I've, projects I haven't wanted to take on, is that I'm going to go from room to room to room. I'm going to get organized. And
Yeah.
hard to do that when you're going off to work. So there's a lot of upside if you choose to look at it that way. The downside is if you have elderly parents, they're dying alone. I mean, there's some horrible things going on here.
Yeah.
New York governor. Ugh. But that being said, it is lovely to spend this time with my husband day after day. I'm loving it. And
Mm-hmm.
this is the joy of 2020 for me.
Yep. And Tara Malel, and she's actually joining us from New Zealand, says this is highlighted for me to take notice and join what I do have and what I have access to. And then we're getting some other comments on some other groups that we're in. Marilyn Slinkland says, congratulations on your retirement. And Meg says, I'm an extrovert and this is really hard. I need time with people. Yeah. I mean, so I have to admit, so y'all are going to laugh because some of you know I've been doing this. So one of the ways that I have kind of gotten around the whole people thing, well, I always do a lot of lives and Zooms and everything else. But one of the ways I've kind of gotten around the whole people thing, not necessarily touching anybody, is cinnamon rolls.
Yeah. And
So,
you've made thousands of them.
Yeah. So if you remember
King Arthur flour.
King Arthur flour. Yeah. We've been making like literally probably about 5,000 cinnamon rolls at this point. I mean, like hundreds of pans of cinnamon rolls. And I buy the 100 pan box from,
Costco.
well, Amazon actually, because the
Yeah.
Costco pans are bigger. So the Amazon are the 9x9 pans. And the Costco pans are just a little too big because they're the 9x13 size, and they're too big for most people. And
oh, wait a minute. I could eat that cinnamon roll.
yeah, no, most LOL at cinnamon rolls, right? And yeah, exactly. And so what's been happening is that we've been turning, making a ton of cinnamon rolls and giving to people, and then doing a fundraiser for the food bank when people decide to do it. It's not like you have to donate to get cinnamon rolls, but some people are like, hey, can I pay you? And I'm like, well, if you're going to insist on paying me, you can make a donation to the food bank, or you can give us money and we'll take it down to the food bank when my husband volunteers there next. And it's actually kind of cool because his employer does matching donations. So he's been able to get matching donations for stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's been really, really cool, but I've gotten a bit of my people fix and seeing people, at least if only from afar, as I'm like handing out, 10 pans of cinnamon rolls a week kind of a thing. So it's been kind of fun.
You still doing ding dong ditch?
I have been ding dong ditching people. And so those of you that don't know what ding dong ditching
I didn't know what it was.
is, yeah. So I joined a group of women here locally that are doing ding dong ditch. And I actually did my last ding dong ditch like a couple of days before Christmas. And we went all over the triangle, which is the area where I live. And we were dropping off cinnamon rolls and gifts and stuff with people, all over the place. And it was a lot of fun. So you put the gift on the front porch and you hit the doorbell, ding dong, and then you run. And my younger son, Ivan, really, really likes ding dong ditching people. It just like hits a certain funny bone for him. So he loves this whole concept of ding dong ditching. So, we make pans and pans and pans of cinnamon rolls. And if somebody's in the area where we're going, then we'll take a list of those people and then, draw a map and then go out and ding dong ditch them. And then sometimes, when people live a little bit closer to me or we're doing larger numbers, we'll just do it so they have to come pick them up off the front porch.
Dion left a very nice comment, and she said, I've always worked from home, but I've learned that my animals are my peace. And that is a gift of 2020. I mean, we who have animals love our animals. And yes, animals are peace. Animals can also be a lot of work. I had 3 puppies one year. Let me tell you.
That's a little much.
I lose my mind. No peace going on there. Trying to house train 3 puppies at the same time. Oh, my word. What was I thinking? Oh, he's so cute. I have to bring him home. Oh. Anyway, but yeah. To have that peace and its simplicity, it's
been so much fun. I mean, honestly, and I mean, I'm not saying that there haven't been a lot of challenges. Like my husband is working from home, and because we have a geriatric dog, she whines during the day and she's got her routines and she'll sit there and it's not whining in pain, but she just does it to see what she can get for attention. I'm pretty sure, because when she's in pain, she doesn't whine like that. And so she'll sit in the bedroom and whine. So he's been actually working from the bedroom, from the recliner for months. And it's really not, ideal, because I took over the dining room, although I don't have doors on the room. And then the kids are in their rooms upstairs. So it makes for a little bit of a crazy work situation, with a rabbit and 3 cats and a dog and a turtle and some fish. But I don't have nearly as many animals at my house as Dion has at hers. I do have a horse, though.
Dion has 4 horses, 75 chickens, 6 pigs, and 2 peacocks. Oh, my goodness.
What kind of horses do you have, Dion? Oh, I want to know what kind of horses you have. We have an appendix quarter horse that is my oldest daughter's horse. And
wait a minute. What's an appendix quarter horse?
He's half thoroughbred, half quarter horse.
And that's called an appendix.
Mm-hmm. That's what we were told. So yes, we have a horse. It's my oldest daughter's horse. And I'm one of those really, really crazy people, and cows and sheep to come, who believes that when I adopt an animal, it's for life.
I do too.
So I have a horse for life. And
3 Mustangs for Dion. Oh my goodness.
So yeah, the horse does not live at my house. Obviously, he's been boarded we have a girl who is doing a partial lease right now. And because she's doing a partial lease and COVID, I actually have been limiting my time at the barn because I want the girl, she's in high school now, to have the opportunity to ride rather than us trying to play, footsie and see when we can be out there, kind of a thing. Just trying to limit the chaos. But,
this sounds simplistic, but we're talking about the joys of, and the joy of my husband and I taking a walk, just taking a walk, not like, let's hurry up and get our walk in before we go to work, or let's just take a walk. Yesterday, I had to drop my car off. And on the way home, we said, have you ever been down that street before? And I was like, no. And we've been here 20 years. And we're talking about a mile and a half from here. And we go past the street all the time. So we went down streets we'd never been down before. And it's simple. It's just simple things.
Yeah, we've been walking a lot too. Because I couldn't go to the gym, and the gym thing and strength training is important. So my husband is actually really much more disciplined than I am. And he works out every day. He goes out either bike riding or he goes to the pool now that the pools are reopened. And he's been swimming outdoors because didn't want to swim with a cover, but he will take me out and go walking with me like every night. And, it's kind of funny. It's a little bit like Mutt and Jeff. He's almost a foot taller than I am. And he walks like, it's that like proverbial white.
You're so much longer.
Right? Oh yeah. Like,
yeah.
He walks, and I have short little T-Rex arms and legs. And, he just like, he's got long arms, long legs. He's 6'4". And I'm like 5'7", and and he just like walks, and I'm like 20 paces behind him, and I just kind of gave up trying to keep up. Many years ago in our marriage.
I'll never get. That's a word picture I'm never going to get out of my head.
The T-Rex arms. Yeah, I'm the T-Rex married to the giraffe.
Oh my gosh. For those of you who don't know me, I spent much of my career as a divorce lawyer, and I sold my firm to my associates. It was 6 years ago last week. And let me tell you, I can count how many days it's been since I practiced law. And for 99% of those years, I really enjoyed it. But at the end, I was getting very tired. And I owned a business with my brother, and my brother became suddenly very ill. And I chose to sell the firm and go into the family business because I didn't know if he was going to live or die. And I didn't know what we made or who our employees were. I mean, I thought, oh my gosh, this is my greatest asset. And I know the address of the building, and that's about it. And that was not irresponsible per se. It's just, it had not been my job to do that. It had been his job. And so for the last 6 years, I've worked in our family's manufacturing business. And oh my gosh, to not, yes, I'm still half owner, but I don't have to do the day-to-day anymore. And yes, I do board meetings, and yes, I solve problems and whatever. But to not have that day-to-day in my head is just, wow, that's just,
Isn't it amazing what happens when you get rid of clutter?
Yeah, the Marie Kondo stuff. I mean, clutter from here up or clutter around me.
Yeah, and Dion says 6'5" and 5'9" isn't much better. Exactly. I mean, it's the same thing where, I come up to like his shoulder and he's like, well, long legs, long arms. It's not me. He puts things away and I can't reach him. But yeah, the clutter thing has been a big deal for us. Because my oldest is out of the house now, we've actually, and the kids are a little bit older. My youngest is about to be in high school, and we've actually been decluttering too. So that's one of the things that's been kind of a benefit to me of being here during COVID, believe it or not, has been being able to get the kids to help me declutter the house. because they're able to help me sort the Legos. They're able to help me haul stuff down to the car and make yet another trip to the dump and do that stuff. And it's been really nice, honestly. I'm really grateful for just being able to do some decluttering.
That's on the list for the next month, is to go room to room and look at things that I haven't looked at in 20 years. I mean, things that I have just said, okay, I'll deal with it later because I got other fish to fry right now.
Yeah. Well, and I've had that too, right? I've been working outside the home for the most part. I've had 4 young kids. And I made the comment to my husband tonight, it's like being an ogre. It's, you peel it like an onion and, in layers. And it's been really nice to just slowly declutter as opposed to doing like the whole Marie Kondo, like, pull everything out and declutter stuff method.
Yeah, but did you also read how she said, yes, I went into my mother's house. I think it was her mother's house, mother and father's house, maybe. And while they weren't here, I just threw their things out. And yes, they're mad at me, but they're better for it. And I just thought, you have a control problem and I don't like you. I mean, it's just like...
Yeah, that would be a bit much. But I mean,
that really stuck with me. And I thought, what is your decluttering issue, Marie? This clearly isn't about stuff. This is about passive aggressive anger at mom and dad. I don't know. It just freaks me out. Now, Dion wrote something, like it, love it, does it make me money? Easy declutter method. So, okay, you got to say more about that. Where
do you like it? Do you love it? And does it make me money?
It makes me money. I'm going to keep it all. So what am I throwing out in your method? I'm not clear about this.
Well, I got rid of a bunch of kids' toys. So I'll give you an example. My parents moved around the world while I was growing up. And, we went to Germany, Venezuela, Brazil, all over the place. And my parents kept a lot of my toys from my childhood. A lot of Fisher-Price, Little People stuff. But the standards have changed dramatically in the last 45 years, 50 years on children's safety. And, toys after 50 years don't tend to work very well. So I let the Little People garage go. I like the Little People garage. I think it's really cool. I think it would be cool to pass on to my kids, but I know that it won't be considered safe. I know that I won't be able to find, cars that fits. I know that there will be choking hazards. And I know that honestly, the little elevator piece isn't going to work.
Yeah, but
in another 20 years.
I mean, just because they're new standards, you didn't choke.
Yeah, but it's got lead paint and all kinds of stuff too. And there's a lot of things that
China. Oh, wait. The shit that's coming out of China is loaded with lead paint. Ask all the dead dogs. Just saying.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just, stuff that was built in the 70s, is covered in lead paint or,
Here we go.
And we're being picky on where I'll change your view. And yeah, so Connie says some things are useful and I keep those. Also, some things I feel connected to, so they will stay too. Yeah, I mean, to me, there's some of that, but what's going on here too is like, how connected am I really? Am I really going to use it, or can I really let it go? Or is it just taking up a lot of space? And like, I kind of feel like a scene out of Hoarders some days. So it's getting better. And then Dion says, usually like it. But if I haven't used them in 6 months, I have to ask if I can release them. Yeah. If I haven't used it in 6 months or a year or 2 years, whatever the standard is, there needs to be some sort of standard for, okay, can I let that go? Or do I really need to keep it somewhere? And then Dion says, do what?
Clothes. I mean, I have some pieces that are really elegant that I've had for a long time. And I don't want to let them go.
Then you don't have to let them go. Yeah. So Dion says, like it, I like it, but I don't love it, and it doesn't make me money. I can usually donate my like it stuff. Okay. Yeah, I don't love it, and it doesn't make you money. And Connie says, I'd keep them, but that's just me. Yeah, so I'm just running into the problem that, my house isn't but so big. And honestly, I had to clean out my parents' house after they passed and all of their stuff. And they had a 4,800 square foot house that was full. And we had a house that was full. And literally, what ended up happening when my mother passed, because she passed the week before I started at Duke. And my dad was already in an independent living, assisted living type situation. We reorganized his apartment, got him the stuff that we could easily fit in his apartment, and then literally anything that could have value got boxed up and dropped in my garage. And we spent literally probably 4 years going through that pile. So pictures, paintings, anything that could have any kind of like sentimental value just got boxed up and dropped. And, not just in my garage, in my attic, everywhere. And I'm kind of determined that it's not going to happen to my kids.
You don't want to do that. And I get it. But my sister-in-law refers to my brother and I as running the Bentley Museum. We just hang on to everything. Oh, look at it. It's the Indian blanket from when we were 3. And I and she has a point. She's right. We're hanging on to a lot of stuff.
Yeah, no, I hold on to stuff too, but
yeah,
I got to figure out, the things that are kind of the most important too. But I would say COVID has given me the opportunity, not in large amounts of time, because, I am dealing with 3 kids, even if they're not physically in the house the whole time right now, and all the work stuff and Facebook group with 71,000 members and working and taking care of myself, so we are putting a few hours a week into the whole process.
Wow. 71,000.
71,000.
You.
Thank you.
You've worked hard. Good for
It
you.
has been hard. Well, I won't say it's been hard. It's been long. It's been a lot of work, but it's not necessarily been hard. But it's a process, right? But having that time has been important, and deciding which crafts. Here's another thing. I look at it as, I do crafts, and I've done some crafts for a long time. And I saw somebody who's like, it's 2021. So my resolution is to get the crafts done that I said I was going to do in 2020, that I got the pattern for, it was like backed up to, 2015 or whatever, that I bought the materials for, that I got the pattern for, that I got the idea for, kind of a thing. And I'm like, if we get to 2021 and we're still, in, relatively limited social kind of things right now, and I don't manage to get through a project or a craft, or I don't make significant headway on it, because I have a tapestry. I have 2 tapestries that I'm working on. So they're just long-term projects. But if I'm not like making headway on stuff, and I'm not inclined to make headway on stuff, maybe it's time to let the project go.
That's an interesting idea. I have handwork that I do, that I've done since I was about 8 years old. And I, with one exception, have finished everything I've started.
Mm-hmm.
But I found that the stress of 2020, I found it hard to do some of those things. I didn't find it stress reducing. I found it very stressful to sit still and do that work. I had other things I had to do. And I'm looking forward to feeling less stressed to get back to that routine.
Yeah, totally.
Something very, very satisfying about making something that's pretty, or making something that is your own, or your own idea, or that you birth this creativity and make it whatever that is. And you made an interesting comment that I want to ask everybody about, because I find the use of the word crafts is very almost demeaning.
Okay, so yeah, handy.
You know what I mean? And
handwork. I do quilting. I do needlepoint. I do a couple of different things. And I don't know if our artisan work, that kind of thing, but it's definitely, the handiwork things that I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
my creative outlet things, if I'm not enjoying them or I'm not inclined to pick them up when I'm stressed as a form of stress release, then maybe I need to think about it.
Maybe so.
I like Connie's comment. I think releasing clutter helps clear the mind and opens the way for more abundance.
Oh, I think that's lovely, Connie. I think that's yes. And I think she's absolutely right that I don't function well in clutter.
Mm-mm,
I used to think that I did. I used to think
I
that
don't.
I was used to it, and I don't because
I
your mind
don't.
isn't free to become creative. Your mind isn't free to
No.
problem solve if you've got all this ancillary noise around you that is distracting you all the time. You're just not going to get.
Well, and it's energy too.
Oh
And I
yeah.
find the more that I intentionally release, the better it gets. I like this comment though. When I moved in 2016, my sister told me, "You're not a craft person. You are a buyer. Just buy someone else's crafts. Just buy someone else's stuff."
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I have a number of projects, a number of canvases that I want to do, and a number of designs that I want to do, and I find that I haven't been free enough in my head to do them because there's so much ancillary noise. And
Well,
so
you've had a lot going on too.
yes, I have. And
But that's not necessarily strictly COVID.
no, no, but I think that
That
when
just was whipped cream and cherry on top.
yeah, yeah, it was like and um I
That
think
was just whipped cream and a cherry. I mean, like seriously,
yeah, it's been yeah,
it's been a year.
it's been a year. Um I think that when I clean up, for lack of a better word, the clutter, when I get the things out of my house that no longer serve a purpose,
Mm-hmm.
then it's going to be better. And I I brought in new computers and set up the office because we haven't worked in our home office in many many years because we've been
Mm-hmm.
working downtown, and now we're going to work in our home office again. And I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about putting that room into order because it opens onto a screened-in porch. And in the summertime, to sit there and work on a sunny, warm day is just so pleasurable
Mm-hmm.
to be surrounded by nature and hearing the birds sing and the dogs run back and forth and the cats sit on the screened-in porch and chirp at the birds. And I just love it. And I get my writing done. And I find getting writing done is very hard when I'm distracted. And um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting in my favorite room in my house and I'm looking at, oh, that pile of books. Oh, that couple of briefcases over there and the stack of papers I've got to go through and the end of the year tax documents, blah, blah, blah. And it just goes on and on and on. There is always something. And it's up to me to control that. And
Yeah.
it's, we can say COVID, whatever, but I need to grab myself by my lapels and say, it's up to you to make it better.
Well, it's been a challenge for me. And Dion says my craft or creativity is cooking. Yeah, I mean that's some of
God
me
bless
too.
you.
But for me, it's just been for so many years the amount of toys with my kids has just been overwhelming. With 4 kids in a 3,200 square foot house, I mean, y'all are probably going, yeah, that's a really big house. But, there's bikes and there's trucks and there's Barbies and there's 25,000 Legos because everybody in my family has given my kids Legos. And we had Legos from when we were kids. And oh my gosh. And it's taken me a long time to start to deal with the clutter that is inherent in kids and waiting for them to get old enough that I can start to get rid of some things like rubber duckies in the bathtub. I think we're finally past the rubber ducky stage.
Do you find it's hard to let go? There's something that I have kept all my life, and those are the notes that people have sent to me. I'm a big note writer, letter writer, and people write to me. And to me, those are treasures. And I've got boxes and boxes of letters and notes and cards and all the Christmas cards. And I just,
I keep a few, but I don't keep a whole lot of them. I enjoy them. I'll put them up for a bit and then I'll let them go and bless them. I think some of it is that the paper clutter for me has just been a challenge because I haven't had a place to put the cards and the bins and the whatever. I
Well, you've
mean,
been to my
I'll be
house.
honest,
You
I
know,
ran out of space.
I
I totally ran out of space. We start talking, scenes out of hoarders if we're not careful.
when I moved here to this house, it was 2 tractor trailers. It was 2 moving, the full-size moving vans. That's when I moved here.
Mhm.
And I've been here 20 years. So you've been here, it's a lot. And I
Right, but you have basically two people living in a similar size house to mine, so you have space to put your stuff.
I have a lot of space. Yeah. Yeah. Got a lot of
Mhm.
storage, a lot of space. But I was spending time with a friend of mine this week who is getting ready to move. He closed on one house today, and we went shopping for a new house for him. And he said, maybe now I can get my things out of storage. And I said, how many storage units do you have? And he said, I have 31 air cooled units. And I thought, whoa, that's a lot of stuff.
That's a lot of rent to be paying every month.
Mhm, mhm,
Yeah, Connie says, I have a hard time releasing cards and notes too. I read them from time to time, but I agree it's a form of clutter.
mhm. It is a form of clutter. And you all are helping me because that's going to be something that I take on. And when you said, I look at some and I keep some, yeah, I don't need to keep them all. Merry Christmas, Billy and Bob or something. You know what I mean? You don't need to keep that. But the ones that have the note or the message or that's a different story. And
Yeah, and Dion says he should buy a warehouse.
he has a warehouse. He has a warehouse. This is an addition. This is in addition to the business. It's an interesting situation. He's an architect, um, and he's an author, and these are all things from houses that have been in Architectural Digest, and on and on and on. These are real treasures, and yeah.
That gets to be challenging, right? When you're dealing with,
Mhm, mhm.
historical stuff. And I mean, for me, that was one of the biggest challenges that I had to deal with because I am 9 years younger than my brother, but I also got married younger than any of my cousins on my dad's side.
You were what, 19?
I was 19 when we
Yeah.
got married, and I was 20 when we bought our first house. So when we got our first apartment, got married, we had a lot of stuff come our way because my cousin was going to Davidson and my aunt brought us some furniture, like more furniture than we could fit in our apartment. In fact, we furnished our apartment and my sister-in-law's, my husband's sister's apartment. And then when my grandfather passed away, mid 90s, I was the only grandchild who was already married and had a home. We were already living in this house. So another whole truckload of stuff came. And then my parents also got a whole truckload of stuff from my grandparents when my grandfather passed away in the mid 90s. So when my parents moved here in 2005, they brought almost everything here from Alabama. And I mean, that was part of the situation that happened when my parents passed away, was that my mother had all of this wicker furniture and all of this stuff and da 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 da. And my brother and I just sat there and looked at each other and like, oh my gosh, what do we do with all this stuff? And I've tried to be really selective, and it's hard because I have really cool stuff that I think my children are going to very much enjoy as they get a little older. And sure enough, now Zena's in an apartment. She is enjoying some of the finds and some of the cool things that we have, like, the silverware. We kept the silverware because we're like, in 5 years, somebody's going to have an apartment. And we have red depression glass plates, which my brother, if he had the space, would take them, but he doesn't. And I'm like, yeah, my kids are going to want those. It's not necessarily like all fine china. It's like really kind of cool, artsy fartsy, art deco-y, little bits and pieces and fripperies, dating back to the mid 19th century.
I had my best friend died in October of last year, of 19, not 20. And she had had a large house when I first met her. I mean, 42 years ago. And lots of things and I have many of her pieces. But as her age and her life moved on, she found it was more than she wanted to manage, and it was a distraction. And she had a really lovely house. But
Hmm.
when you went into the living room, there were 2 chairs, a sofa, a coffee table, and some paintings. I mean, it was minimalist and it was elegant. I mean, the pieces were really super pieces, and a chest on chest that was 1790, something like that,
Hmm.
but extremely minimalist. And I was uncomfortable. And my husband and I always chuckled about it. And he'd say, "You get lost in here." And that was her comfort zone, and it was very distressing to me to not. My comfort zone is to be surrounded by things that I
Hmm.
like, not just things for things' sake, but I can look at the table and I can look at the little boxes and I can look at, the books and I've got thousands of books. I mean,
Hmm.
you've been downstairs. I mean, bookcases
Hmm.
all over my house, thousands of bookcases or thousands of books and bookcases. It's my comfort level. And I've realized in COVID, and this has been a real upside of COVID for me. I mean, you all are thinking I'm kind of crazy, but the upside of COVID is the things I enjoy doing are not playing on a soccer team, but it's reading a book, it's watching a movie, it's
Hmm.
doing a piece of needlepoint, it's painting, it's making something. All solitary things, but in my home with my husband with me. I mean, I don't want to do that by myself. It's always, "Hey, what do you think?" Or, he paints and I paint and we do those things together, but they're solitary activities. And
Hmm.
I'm grateful because I know so many people. I was talking to somebody today who said, "Well, I bought Netflix, I bought Hulu, and she went down the list of all the cable things she pays for because she said, "Well, I'm not going anywhere. What else am I going to do?" And I'm thinking, "Oh, you got a Kindle or you've got, a piece of
Yeah.
needlepoint." And it's not everybody's bag. And I get that.
Mm-mm.
Anyway.
Yeah, no, it's part of the thing is, learning to spend some time with yourself. Although I will say, I turned around and I've spent a lot of time, with my Facebook group and my business and helping people pro bono sometimes. And, working with prospective clients and helping people get their businesses where they need to be. And some of my clients have had absolutely, it was devastating. COVID was absolutely devastating. And a lot of it has been, how do we get you online? How do we get you moving forward? How do we get you to a point where you can function in this environment? Because one of my concerns in March, and some of you may remember me saying this, and some people aren't going to believe me when I said it's going to be 18 months to 2 years before we have effective treatments or vaccine or whatever, and until we're out of this. And it's probably going to be another 5 to 8 years that we feel the impact on the economy. Statistically, 5 to 8 years is kind of a minimum, and it's usually about a 10-year recovery cycle with the economy when we see these kind of, hits in the economy in general and these kind of recession activities. And I was like, okay, so what can you do to how can I help you get to that point where you are adapting your business? And it's that figuring out a strategy and a plan of execution, and then talking people off the ledge. Sometimes it's that daily text of, are you alive and are you breathing? And how can we help you go today? And what can we help you do today? And it's that to me was where I spent a lot of my time, particularly early on in the COVID, lockdown, was helping people figure out, okay, now what am I doing? Where am I going next? How am I going to survive this? And to me, that was kind of a hobby. I guess it is kind of, people ask me what my hobbies are, and I'm like, yeah, I do needlepoint, I bake, I help people fix their businesses. In
I
case y'all are wondering if my work is my hobby, it is.
and I think that's great. I think it's whatever works. I you
Yeah.
know, I think one of the upsides to having this virus is that we're looking at what's really necessary. Do you really
Mhm.
need that business suit? Do you really need to live in Manhattan? No, you don't. You really
Right.
I think I've said this before, but I'll say it again. I have a friend in Manhattan who sells real estate. Friend is it loosely. It's an acquaintance. It's a once upon a time
Mhm.
client. And he makes about 750 a year and lists average 6 properties.
Mhm.
Right now he has 100 and low one, like 105, something like that. He has 100 properties listed
Right.
instead of 6 because everybody with any sense is getting the hell out of Dodge.
Well, because it's so incredibly expensive and it's so incredibly
Well,
condensed. And do you really want to spend
but
the
it's
next however
horrible.
many months staring at the same 4 walls that are 400 square feet?
Not only that, I mean, for all of them, what I'm hearing from my New York friends is, look, I was willing to pay this rent because I could walk to Broadway. I could walk to Bergdorf's. I could walk to Barney's. I could do all these things that I'm willing, I can go to this museum. I can go to this opening. I can go to this gallery. It's all closed. It will never be the same again. Oh, wait, I'm still paying $5,000 a square foot or whatever. You know what I mean? It's still Upper East Side real estate is, and
Yeah,
it,
it's going to take probably 10 to 15 years before stuff really recovers.
if it does, I
And
mean,
it will recover differently. It
yes, that's
will
what I'm saying.
recover. It's the
It might
question of
never be New York again.
how, and yeah, exactly. It will not be the same.
What
The norms are changing.
and people are saying, I think I want it simpler. I don't know that I want to live in the city. People are buying up country real estate. I've said that my law partner, who has a title company in the practice, 90% of his business right now is New York, New Jersey, Connecticut people coming to Pennsylvania to get the hell out of there. And I think that's fascinating. I'm thinking, why are they coming here? The taxes are high here. But I think this is an intermediate step for them. I think
Mhm.
for them to go from Connecticut to Arkansas is just too stressful. But they could do Pennsylvania for a while.
Yeah, and North Carolina is probably not really on the radar. Well, unfortunately, it is somewhat on the radar, but not quite as much as
Research Triangle Park sure is. I mean,
yeah.
that's big
It's
radar.
been crazy here.
Silicon Valley East, yeah, that's a big deal. But I kind of live in the country, and it's all of a sudden there are a whole lot of out of town license plates and a whole lot of people looking at, I don't want to live in New York anymore. And I see, when
That's everywhere.
that's everywhere. Yeah, you go to the
Mhm.
grocery store, it's a lot of New York license plates. And I think, isn't it interesting how they're trying to get away from the policies and the insanity in these places? So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I think that the only thing that we know for sure is that there will be changes. The norm will not ever go back to being exactly what it was.
No,
Things are changing. We just don't know exactly what they will all be.
like the book says, we're in a fourth turning. This is the big change. And it's going to be very interesting to see how America responds. Are we going to still be America? Are we going to still be a superpower? Or are we going to be a nothing? Stay tuned. January is still January.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And thank you
Good
for
to
all of
see
your
you.
comments and your support.
Yeah,
I really, really appreciate it.
me too.
Um, thank you. So, thank you guys for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye bye.
Talk soon, everybody.